I know he's going to be out for 10 months, and it's been however many months since he's fought. That thing's been tied up. What's happened to Carlos Condit is unfair. Diaz was the Strikeforce champion. You know, it just made sense.
And does it seem likely that interim belt will probably be defended one time before GSP's
It
back?
will. Yeah, that's the other reason. I think that, you know, whoever wins that fight, the belt will be defended at least once before GSP is back.
Who is your number one pay-per-view guy now that GSP is out?
Well, Brock's still big. Brock's a big one. Anderson Silva. Off the top of my head.
Is Jones getting there, do you think?
Jones will, yeah. The thing is that's happened with Jones is Jones is so young. It's one of those things that kind of, you know, everybody's waiting to see, well, can he beat this guy? Can he beat that guy? I think we've pretty much seen, you know, after the Rampage fight, what this kid's capable of doing. That's why I'm really looking forward to this one. This one's going to be fun.
George seemed to think that he suggested yesterday in the conference call that he was perhaps his own worst enemy when it came to training, that he trained through these things. When you get somebody who's that dedicated...
George?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think what happened with George is, you know, first of all, he was diagnosed wrong. I mean, if we knew that was a blown ACL from the beginning, he could have already had the surgery done and been, you know, recovering this whole time.
And, you know, you say he'll come back, it'll be like, what, one fight in 2 years or something? That's quite a layoff.
It is a big layoff. Yeah, it is. But what are you going to do? I mean, it is what it is. It's when a guy goes out there and, you know, blows his ACL, nothing you can do about it.
He had a big press conference yesterday. A lot's being made about Rashad's comments there.
Yeah.
What's your take on that situation?
You know, just like all the things that happen, people say stupid things in certain times, you know. Davis went to Penn State, wrestled for Penn State. He went to Michigan, you know, and he said it. Rashad Evans is a smart guy. He's a bright guy, and, you know, he said what he said.
Is there a message to him afterwards,
I mean,
like, hey, maybe that was
it's
that
not
line?
like I'm dealing with stupid people here.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing when you're dealing with dummies. When you're dealing with people that are really stupid, it's tough to talk to them. But when you call a guy who's an intelligent guy, and he gets it, he knows. You know, and the whole thing is with me, people are looking at me, and I saw a couple of stupid stories that were written to people who, you know, that want attention. You know who those people are. What do you want me to do? You want me to have our lawyers draw something up and I'll come out and read it to you guys? You know, he said something stupid. It's probably one of the dumbest things you could say. He gets it, and he knows it was a stupid thing to say, and, you know, see what happens.
When Joe Frazier passed away, there was so much talk of mourning a time that once was, with two guys who just seemed to be met to fight each other.
Right.
What will it take in UFC to find two guys that can cross over?
Yeah, it's going to happen in the next couple of years. You know, as fights build and lead up, you know, believe me when I tell you, that GSP Diaz fight was going to be a big one. You know, I don't know if that's our Ali Frazier, but, you know, that was a big crossover fight, and a lot of people were fired up for that one. But if you look at how many fights we do in a year, you're going to have a couple a year that are big fights. But when you talk about crossing over, you have to understand, and that's what we're working toward now. When you talk about these Ali Frazier fights and all these big ones, these guys were on broadcast television. They were fighting on ABC's Wide World of Sports, and millions of people were watching. So when the big fights happened, the world was aware of it. That's what's going to happen with us in the next couple of years.
But doesn't that make what you've done so far even more remarkable?
It does. I mean, if you look at what we've been able to accomplish in a short amount of time with very limited distribution, yes, it's been pretty amazing.
Can Jones be one of those guys?
I think he can. I think that this kid has the potential to be probably the greatest ever. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of other factors. Does he have the physical attributes? Absolutely, 100%. Does he have the mental? He seems to. He seems to be a bright guy who hasn't been dragged down by the Klingons and all the people that try to, you know, cling on to you once you become famous and start making money. And I see that as the biggest threat to greatness.
Is this why you talk about the next 2 years being bigger than the last 10?
The next two bigger than the last 10 mean that, you know, there are going to be more people watching in the next 2 years than have watched in the last 10 years. So from not only, you know, educating people about the sport, but the type of fights, the fights that happen, you know. I believe that everybody is a fight fan. As a human being, it's inside of us. It's in our DNA. And we've had a string here of like 10 or 12 fights in a row that have just been unbelievable, including our finale that just happened. I mean, the two fights for the finale are two of the best fights, and the one fight is one of the best one-round fights you'll ever see. So, yeah, we got to continue that trend.
Then you talked
Speaking
about
of-
launching the Ultimate Fighter Brazil. Couldn't help but notice Vanderlei Silva and Vitor Belfort met with you at the open tryouts on Monday. Is there any connection there with those guys maybe assuming coaching duties for that show?
Well, let me tell you what. If I was planning on having anything, the last place I would meet with guys is in front of you guys. But yeah, we have a lot of guys that we're looking at as potential coaches. What we're going to do is we're going to go down there and cast it, figure out what we're going to do, and then we'll.
How will that air in the United States?
What the Brazil one?
Yeah.
I don't know. We might do it on Fuel. Might air on Fuel. We'll see.
Have you confirmed the next Montreal date? March 24th has been thrown.
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
But you will be coming back to Canada multiple times, or
Absolutely, yeah. We're coming back to Canada a few times.